need it. The plans will have to be submitted to EPA for their review. The detailed design drawings will have to be submitted to EPA really by the end of January in order to ensure that you stay on the schedule. So I believe that your engineer has submitted an engineering agreement, and there will be 2 loans with EPA. The first is a design loan, which would be very short term. And then the second is the construction loan. The design loan gets rolled into the construction loan. There is no principal forgiveness on the design loan, but once it gets rolled into construction, the full project cost is awarded that principal forgiveness. There are a couple of requirements. The one I really wanted to make sure that everyone here understood was a requirement that half of the governing board has to take some classes. And this is the point where I get a lot of grimaces. It's not that painful. They're called board training classes. There's 2 of them. One is called Utility Management for Local Officials. The other is called Financial Management for Local Officials. And these are classes specifically for councils, BPAs, district boards. We've had county commissioners go through them just to learn more about managing a small water sewer utility. And these can be taken online, or they will be offered in a classroom setting. We actually have these coming up in New Philadelphia, which is the closest location. I know that's not terribly close. The other's in Defiance, so that's pretty far. But if someone prefers to actually be in a classroom and have a chance to interact with other officials from other communities, some people enjoy that setting, and most people who go through it find it pretty informative. The online version, most people can get through each class in less than 2 hours. The online version actually allows for up to 3 hours for each class. Each class is broken up into 3 sections, so that between the 2 there's 6 sections total. And most people usually will spread these out over a couple of evenings. But I was hoping that maybe amongst yourselves you could identify who would volunteer to go through these classes. Certainly we invite everyone to go through them, but for the requirement of the grant, it just has to be half of the council.
I have a question. Is this the class that I took already? Do I have to take it again?
If you've taken it within the last couple of years and we can find your name on a registration, then no, that would actually count.
Okay.
As long as you're still on the council when the construction loan is awarded. So, yeah, so if anyone else has gone through these classes, and you have to have taken both. So if you took 101, you might still have to take the 201, the financial management class online.
I took both of them.
You did? Okay, so you should
You were there.
I probably was. Okay. So do you remember, was that Mount Union?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to go back and see if we can find your name on the registration, and we can probably send your name in for that then.
Okay.
How far back does that go as far as when? I think the mayor and I had taken Mount Union College.
Mount Union College, we were up there for that.
Same time? Okay.
Wasn't the same time approach.
Yeah. So we're
Within the last 5 years?
Oh, yeah. I think.
right around there. It was 2 days.
Okay. I can check with EPA and see if they would accept that.
It was a 2-day class at Mount Union College.
Right,
They did
right.
utilities one day and the finances the next day.
Okay. I will see if EPA could accept that.
I do too.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yesterday.
So if that's the case and we're able to get their approval for that, then we just need one more. So, and I will email Richard with the website address and the instructions for taking the class online. That's good.
What's the date, New Philadelphia?
It's October 14th and 15th. The classes are from 9 until 4.
14th's one class, 15th's the other class?
Correct.
How long is it?
From 9 to 4.
Both days.
Wow.
And there's an hour for lunch in there.
But you can do it online
Or
in
actually an hour and a
2
half for
hours?
lunch.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Do the math there.
Because you can ask questions, and everybody can
Right.
ask questions.
Well,
Actually, it's 6 hours per class online.
yeah, I should back up. I'm sorry. Most people can do each class in about 2 hours or less. An hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes people take longer, but I just want to make sure that we've actually had
What-
go ahead.
What's the contact hours count for?
If you actually let the clock run out, if you're going for the contact hours, each one is 5.
Yeah, but what's it count towards? Which license does that count towards?
Water and wastewater, but they're considered the general. I guess there's a distinction between technical and general hours, but these are free, so it's free contact hours for anyone.
What do we have to do to register? We just go online and register?
I have I can hand these out.
Yeah, let me have one of those. I need some contact hours anyhow, so
Okay.
maybe my company will pay me to go sit through this
Okay.
class.
This is just for the instructions for the online aren't in here. I don't believe there's a link from our website, but I can send that directly. And thanks. And I started the 2 classes of that pertain to the EPA grant. Of course, we welcome you to come to any of our classes, and all of them are free. We actually have a great workshop coming up in Canton about cost containment. Unfortunately, that doesn't count towards this EPA requirement. That one is on November 19th. But if anyone has any questions or any trouble with the website, if you decide to go that route, please let me know. So that was a major thing. I don't know if there are any other
And those of you or whoever will volunteer to take these classes, please let the manager know by Friday at noon so that he can get you registered or get word to Sherry on who will be.
You do have some time. I think the drop dead deadline is 90 days before the construction loan award, but they prefer that you have these done sooner because EPA starts nagging. They get a little worried when people don't get them done.
Well, these classes aren't held all the time either, correct?
We used to have more of them, but we've had so many. I mean, 2 people have already been to them. We've kind of saturated, as far as the folks that would come to these. So we don't have quite as many anymore.
In finding out whether, like myself or the mayor, would still be active from that previous class that we took, how long of a time frame would that take you to find that out?
Probably within a week or 2. I can try to send, if I have a chance tomorrow, unfortunately I'll be on the road for the next 3 days, but as soon as I'm able to, I can try to get in touch with the person in our organization who has access to all of the records. I'll see if he can find those, and then I'll let him correspond with the EPA to see if they'll
Please
go ahead and
let Rick
accept
know
it.
that, hey, your active position has fell off. Or,
If
then
it's
I
been
know whether
within-
I have to take the course again.
If it's been within at least 3, and I think they actually might go back 5 years. They've said that anyone who goes through the class now, that would be valid for the next 5 years. So if you were to apply to EPA for any other drinking water projects, they would continue to accept that. They wouldn't make you go through it again. So there's a good chance that probably they will accept that. So.
Sherry, what's the minimum number of councilmen?
So is there
3 or 4?
Well, it would be 3,
3.
right?
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, it would be half.
And I think it was 10 we were there. I remember getting a certificate some type. I just don't remember where I put it.
I've got all the books on how to find.
Okay. It's probably in the books. That's a good idea. Any questions? Anybody have any questions they want to ask? Okay, don't forget.
Actually, I do have a question. Is that something like we could set up a conference here that, 3 of us could take that class at one time online?
No, you would each have to have your own computer because they make you get, your own login,
Okay.
and they actually time it. And if you're trying to get contact hours, you have to let the clock on the computer run out for the time. So
basically what you're saying is just you can turn it on and there'll be something else that comes
I didn't say that, but
You are going to send that information to Rick Rick.
yes. You don't want to close the browser. You want to let the clock run out on the computer.
Can they tell when it goes to screen save?
Sleep on
I am
So there was
working
some
on.
question and answers we had.
I asked Jan if there was a test.
Oh, yeah.
said no.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
short
she said
quizzes
no.
throughout, so you
I
can't
look
just
for it.
turn it on and walk away. There's a series of little short quizzes throughout the online training, and it won't let you go on until you get it right. So, but it's sprinkled with videos and everything. They try to make it as interesting as they can for the subject matter that it is, So, I am working on finishing the design loan application, and that hopefully will be done here within the next week, as well as a capability assurance plan, pulling that together. At this point, it looks like the design loan will probably be awarded at the OWDA, that's the Ohio Water Development Authority's board meeting in early December. They don't meet in November, and at this point, there's not enough time to get this in for the October meeting. But I think if the engineer gets started on the detailed design work, probably by the time they would really send you an invoice, my guess is you'd be into December anyway. So, any questions?
Go ahead, Rick, put me down. I'll go to the class.
Okay.
If anybody else wants to register, let Rick know by noon Friday. Thank you.
Very good.
Sherry, thank you very much.
Sure.
And certainly you can be excused. Okay, council. Back to our agenda items. Reading disposition of the minutes of the previous meeting, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion, we dispense with the reading of minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion by Bruce, second by Flyers, dispense with the reading of the minutes, and Chair will call for any additions, corrections, and/or deletions. Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Hydro.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart. Aye. Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Minutes are approved as presented. Citizens' comments. Any citizen wishes to address council at this time? Reading of communications and petitions. Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
No, sir, I don't.
Some communications that have come into the mayor's office. There is a hearing scheduled for October the 1st here at City Hall, and this is with the Mahoning County Health Board and Mr. John Greeneisen for the property at 113 and 115 West Indiana Avenue. The meeting's at 9:30 a.m. Lionel will be in attendance, our building inspector. I will not be able to be there October the 1st. That one that is your hour. Okay. Can somebody be available during the day?
I'll be there.
Okay. And I think that's it for communications. I think we don't have anything else that would have come in already. For council committees and council representatives. Finance, Councilman Hart.
Yes, Mayor. The Finance Committee met last Thursday in council chambers at 7 o'clock. All committee members were present, including Village Manager Rick Giroux, and Councilman Joe Igo and Councilman Ken Flowers were present. Mayor Pinkerton had asked the Finance Committee to take a look at water accounts that would be deemed as uncollectible. Mr. Manager Giroux presented the committee with a list that Water Clerk Jen Rieger put together for consideration. The Water Clerk noted that the last time Sebring did a resolution to write off uncollectible accounts was in January of 2005. The clerk's written letter stated that the amounts that were deemed uncollectible are certified with the county auditor, and the amounts will remain on the tax records, on the county tax records, and that we could still receive payments for uncollectible accounts, and the dollar amount was $15,234.52. A resolution to write off these accounts is on the table this evening for council's consideration. I do have a question that I did bring up in the meeting when you referred to write-offs. I was thinking that, we lose that money. We don't necessarily lose that money, and it is in the county's hand because it was assessed. Most of those situations occur, one by foreclosure, death, or just people moving on, and she advised that those accounts that she had at our meeting were deemed uncollectible. So that was part of that meeting. And the other part was, as I was walking into the meeting that evening, I had received a phone call from Fire Chief Kennel, and he had asked I asked the committee about replacing 2 overhead doors at Station 1. That would be the rear doors. One door being 20 by 2 by 10, the other being 2 by 8. The question was asked how old these doors were. The larger of the 2 doors was thought to have been put on when the first single bay was added. The smaller door is at the kitchen side. Our committee asked manager to research this to see if there are any receipts that could be found pertaining to how old these doors were. And the quote that the fire chief had provided was for $5,558 from Garage Door Openers Incorporated out of Beloit, Ohio. I did happen to speak with the fire chief Saturday. He advised me that those doors are 20 and 17-year-old doors. Dave and I went down and looked at them after our finance meeting. Condition, the largest door is, you say it was a steel door?
Yeah, it was definitely the oldest of the two doors there.
And so, with that being said, I haven't gotten anything back on whether or not, there was a receipt for those doors when that first day was put on, Joe, at this point. So, nothing has been decided at this point, and that was one of the questions that the fire chief had asked me. I told him that nothing has been decided at this point. And that was all we had for the finance meeting there. And that meeting closed at 7:40. And while we're on that subject, I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills when funds become available for the billing cycle 9/6/2014 through 9/19/2014 in the amount of $90,217.74. That is amended from the original of $90,592.86. We are asking that the manager pull the bill for $375.12 for an apparent unemployment compensation for a previous employee. So, and under question.
Second.
Motion by Hart, seconded by Wright. Questions or comments?
Mayor, under questions and comments, as I've done previously, was that I highlight those bills that were outstanding during this billing cycle, and one being $3,572.85 for AT&T, that's our phone bill. One $8,243.10 for CTI Engineers for the wastewater treatment phosphorus removal, and $8,030.67 to Direct Energy, $22,500 for asbestos abatement on a house that was removed at 146 East Oregon, $6,637.99 for Henderson Electric at the water plant, $10,192.57 for Ohio Edison, $2,234.09 to Marathon Fleet for fuel for vehicles, $5,212.33 to what I see as Exlum Dewatering Solutions. Is that the correct pronunciation, Bill? It looks like that was for the pumping of the water plant?
Yes, that's...
sewer plant, yes. And lastly, $4,044.93 for alum at the water plant. And that'll complete my report, Mayor.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, the receipt for the old fire doors, Judy and I will track down. I mean, you're between 1994 and 1997, so I imagine it's in the archive. So we track it down. I'll make a copy of those bills available to the council members, put it in your box.
Mayor, I did have one comment for the manager. Your billing department head, Tracy, for $25 out of the pool and $25 out of that should all now divert to the rec as the pool's closed, so we're not going to assume any more losses in that department.
Correct. Well, I mean, I'm in the process of, I've done some internal transfers. Some of it I'll talk about on the disbursement we recently got, but Council Finance Committee will be seeing a mass transfer for the last third quarter to kind of clean up the 2014 operating budget, so you'll see that coming shortly.
That door issue down there, the front door, that would have been between 96 and 99. I just don't know exactly.
Okay, that helps. Thanks.
I'm thinking that door used to be the old wooden doors with glass in it. I believe when they built the first single bay for Ladder 1, they replaced that door as part of the remodeling project down there, I believe. Yes. So it'd be prior to 1999, I believe.
Well, what did they look like? You guys saw them?
From what we saw, Dave and I, and I'm just guesstimating what he wants to do, is correlate the doors that are on the new part and replace those two old ones and make them look like the ones that are in the new part, with the glass going straight across. Because that big door does not have any glass on it.
I think he referred to R factor too. He wanted to increase
Yes.
the R factor on the door.
But when I spoke with him Saturday, I did tell him that when we were pushing on the newer doors, there was a lot of play in there. And he did say that they need adjusted on the back doors. Because, you know, they didn't look too awful bad, but the other idea is when I pushed on the new doors, I mean, there was a lot of play in there. Maybe they're supposed to be. I don't know about, you know, the aluminum doors and weather stripping that comes down the side. But you know, when he's talking, he did say something about $1,000 heating bill, unless he's throwing out some figure. I'm not sure, but you know, that would be part of it if there's a lot of play in those newer doors. So,
Is there any way of insulating the existing door with foam?
They're probably already foam door.
Just a steel door, nothing in it.
The one's an aluminum one. The smaller of the two doors in the kitchen. I mean, it needs cleaned up. It's quite stained. The metal one, you could definitely tell that was the older of the two because somebody had painted it at some point and they just painted all the weather strip, everything. They didn't. Yeah, that one of the two. If we had to replace any of the two, that one would be for sure would be the one I would look at.
Any questions or comments?
now with that being said, Mayor, I would wait till the manager comes forth with any other information, and then Joe.
Well, if we're going to go that route, you might want to get a price to get those doors that are loose, see if Kessner, who supplied the estimate, can do the adjustment on those doors too as well. Might as well do the whole shebang.
Yeah,
If you're going to do one, you might as well do it all.
while he's there, yeah. Okay.
Anything else? Under finance? Clerk call the roll.
Idro.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Abstain.
What are we voting on?
Bills.
The bills. Oh. Weingart. It's been so long. Aye. Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Hart?
No, Mayor, that will be all.
Safety, Mr. Flowers.
No meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Business redevelopment, Ms. Householder.
No meeting, Mayor.
Capital improvements, Mr. Wright.
No meeting, sir.
Service maintenance, Mr. Igro.
I have no meeting, but I was handed a request for a water tap, and if we could, do you know this, Bill?
No, I haven't seen it.
I'll give you a copy of it. Are they in a hurry for a water tap?
She just submitted that today, and
Okay.
she'd like to have it, but
Well, can we set a meeting up for Wednesday, October 1st at 6 o'clock here to go over the tap request?
At 6.
Wednesday at 6, Wednesday the 1st of October at 6 o'clock, if that's all right with everybody.
You all right?
Just to discuss it, so we can get some dimensions of what it's, how long the tap's for, how long it's going to be.
I'll be available.
Nothing else, Mayor?
This is for property on Line Sebring Road, 21,000 watt. Okay. So hang on to this for a minute. Legislation, Mrs. Weingart.
No meeting.
Okay. Parks, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, Mayor Parks did meet on September the 11th at 7 o'clock at the community center. They approved the August meeting notes, which everybody should have a copy. There were only 3 members present at that meeting, so they did not have a quorum. They did talk about a pavilion repair, which the mayor is working on. He's supposed to have a written quote for them by the next meeting.
It's here, I put it in their box.
They are going to purchase 30 yards of mulch. Motion to purchase the tree flax, which at the last meeting, this past meeting, they did finalize on what the sayings are, so those should be moving forward. They reviewed the July 4th, the collection jars, and the total funds collected. Permitted the flag football team to use the ball fields. Also had, most of the meeting in August was consumed by the health department visit at the pool, which I believe most, if not all, of the problems have since been corrected outside of the baby pool. It's the only thing I think we have left to correct prior to the opening next year. And that's it. Our next scheduled meeting is October the 9th at 7 o'clock. And I have not heard anything back from the school board on whether they have an appointment yet.
They do not, as far as I know, at this time.
We still
Anything
have
else in the parks?
one opening that expires at the end of the year, basically.
Right. Anything in planning, Mrs. Householder?
No meeting there.
Civil service, Mrs. Weinberg?
Meeting. The Civil Service Commission met Monday, September 15th, from 6 to 7:15 p.m. In attendance were commission members Chairman Todd Sage, Vice Chairwoman Joanne Jones, Bob Slazer, and Jennifer Rieger, Secretary. Also, Police Chief Heverly, Manager Giroux, and myself. The commission met to start in motion testing for dispatch personnel. They discussed the procedure of the recent police officer testing and unanimously agreed to replicate the dispatch testing. For the dispatch testing, the commission acknowledged the appointment of Darren Eberling and is achieving a high score from the State Academy. Chairman Sage asked Chief Heverly the number of police officers currently on staff and if that number is up to standards. Chief Heverly responded 6 full-time, 5 part-time, 1 reserve, 4 full-time dispatch, and 2 part-time. Bob Slazer inquired if the chief felt the need for more full-time officers. Discussion followed that included concerns that there are enough officers supporting one another, the area covered, the importance of being on patrol, cruisers being seen on our streets, and that we will now have new, less experienced officers. Chief Heverly was asked to explain the duties of the dispatch officers and specifically about the area covered, including the townships and villages and the 911 coverage. Regarding the dispatch testing, the commission members selected the following dates. Monday, September 22nd. That's today, and there's a copy in the corner, the bottom right-hand corner of the ad that was in today's paper in the Alliance Review. The ads will be running for 2 weeks. Friday, October 10th is the deadline for applications returned, and testing to be Thursday, October 16th at 6 p.m. Jen Rieger will place the ads in the Alliance Review, the Salem News, and the Morning Journal. Chief Heverly will again arrange with the Sebring School Superintendent to use the science lab. Chairman Sage will pre-check the audio and equipment to be used. They all agree they will be there at 5 p.m., 1 hour before testing. Meeting adjourned.
Very good. Any questions under civil service? Retention Committee. There is a report. Very brief. Myself and Mrs. Colson met on September the 11th. Mr. Melzer, who is our third member, was unable to attend at the last minute due to an injury to his back. We approved the minutes from February 6th. We reviewed the payroll department information, the finance department information, and part of the parks information that they had been able to round up, and new RC2 forms were submitted to the Historical Society. Mrs. Weingart was in attendance to observe, and we asked her to informally set in for Mr. Melzer and overlook what we were doing. And we decided we were ready to proceed with disposal. We do not know when the Parks Department may have the rest of their records ready. There has to be a complete review on that. This goes a number of years back. They are working on it a bit at a time. I made a motion, and Mrs. Tolson second, passed, that we authorize the manager to make arrangements for shredding on site. It'd be observed by the police chiefs, and part of that shredding was police department information with serial numbers and social security numbers and everything else on it. And our recommendation was also to check to see if it would be available to the residents of the city, or residential residents of the city that needed anything shredded, that they'd be allowed to bring their stuff down. And if the manager felt it was necessary to limit it, to do that also. Questions?
Do you want a motion on that?
No, the retention committee has the authority to act.
Okay.
Okay. There's no other business. We adjourned at, it was called to order at 9:35, and we adjourned at 10:02. That handles all the committee reports, I believe. All the representative reports. Mr. Manager, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Corey Lloyd.
I will, yes. Just briefly, the federal aid package for the 12th Street paving project has been submitted. I did get the engineering estimates, which I was waiting for. The estimates came in at $700,000, and under the federal aid program, Sebring's share would be $140,000. I'm hopeful, working with RCAP, that I can even reduce that further. So that is in motion, but that's not until fiscal year 2017. Just briefly, appreciate Ms. Luce giving a breakdown on the cryptosporidium project. I just want to let council know that I did receive the design contract from MBA. It's currently under review. There is legislation before council tonight to approve that. For those that are not familiar with the cryptosporidium project, it consists of additional piping in the filter gallery to allow the filter to waste option, as replacement of the turbidity meters, and associated piping and controls, and improvements to the control consoles. As Sherry mentioned, the project has to be bid prior to May 2015, so we are moving as quickly as possible to get that online. Last session, council had requested whether or not we had a maintenance contract with White Mechanical. We do indeed. I forwarded copies to the council members. As I indicated earlier, the first year of service is free. As a follow-up, Code Enforcement Officer Cardinal has been instructed to use the city car from now on inspections, and he will indeed have a final report for council at the end of the program's conclusion November 1st, and I'll forward that to council members as soon as that's available. Just briefly, also, there was a request by Councilwoman Weingart regarding the 2015 debt schedule. I submitted that to each council member report before last, so you should have that. If anyone needs a comparison schedule, I do have the 2014, so just let me know. I'm also very happy to report that I received word from the plant, water plant, that we're out of violation for trihalomethanes and halocetic acids, and well below the EPA requirements. So our carbon filter project is certainly paying off. If anybody noticed that the flags were at half-mast on 9/11, that is Patriots Day, and that was done per presidential directive, and they were kept at half-mast from dawn to dusk. Just briefly, the demolition project, the last of the land bank demolition projects, which was 146 East Oregon Avenue, I did get word that Roger Smith approved that package, and that we should get a reimbursement check for about $19,000. There was $17,000 in my report, but I talked to Roger this morning, and he indicated that we will get an additional $2,000 back. So that certainly helps. There's only one last project on our program. That is the property in Indiana. It's a duplex, and I'm waiting for the county health meeting on the 1st of October. I will not be here, but as soon as that's done, that should get the ball rolling to get the final condemnation. Everything else is set up as soon as we get that, so we're good to go. Councilman?
Yes, Mayor. I don't want to speak for Ken, but at the finance meeting, he brought up a home over on East Maryland that I think we should get the health department in there. I'll let him speak.
Like we discussed in the finance meeting, that I'm not sure what the address is. It's over here. There's raccoons and possums and other such animals living in it. The foundation's falling in.
Any properties that council or anybody knows that is derelict or abandoned, please let me know what that address is. I will put that on the master list, and then we will start the ball rolling. First of all, you notify them through our internal code enforcement, and then you go ahead and submit that to the county health department at that point. Once we get a green light that it has been officially condemned by the county, then we're good to go. Contingent upon money. Sir?
Is that something Mr. Cardinal can also do in his travels throughout the community?
Yes.
He could put together a list of those homes also?
Yes. But if anybody has anything in mind or you know of one, just call me, email me, drop a note in my box. More than happy to follow through. Just let me know. Anyway, once we get the reimbursement, I would imagine that we will have, we'll have sufficient monies maybe to do one more property after Indiana. So unless we budget additional funding, and that's something we can talk about during budgeting session, how much council wants to put into the program for 2015. But I would imagine we'll probably have about $20,000 rollover. I have a meeting with Quick Salt Engineering tomorrow. It kicks off our 15th Street paving project. I want to get moving so that we can have preliminary design and then get into the bidding probably midwinter in preparation for spring paving, in addition to the balance of our project. So I will certainly let council know how that unfolds and what our actual schedule will be. We do have a fledgling website, our homepage for a new site. I did give council the tentative email address. That is still being tweaked a bit, but I'm hopeful to finalize that and then go ahead and take the balance of the old sites off and then start working on the links. So as soon as we get through budgeting process, like the hot and heavy, and that'll involve all the departments. I will need council's input because there will be links for a council page, mayor's page, and so forth, so those will all be linked. So as soon as we get to that point, we'll certainly have some meetings, and I'll let you know kind of what I need. Had a meeting at the fire station to discuss operations. Meeting lasted for about 90 minutes on various topics discussed. I would ask council's consideration for a very brief executive session on personnel after the regular meeting. If the mayor would so entertain that. Let's see, the 2 change orders are already before you. Very happy to report, I know that we've been very concerned about salt. Happy to report that Bill did manage to find 150 tons of the 300 we're looking for, so we're certainly better than we were. We are looking for the balance of 150. We may shoot for 200 tons if we can find it at a reasonable price. I was talking to Bill that finding a spot for all that salt might be a problem, but better to have it than not. So there was also a report that I had passed out to each of the council members. It's the Mahoning County Snow Patrol policy for 2014-15 operating year. Go into a meeting or conference in Youngstown regarding this. Basically says due to the salt shortages and what they have available is what their plow roads or what we expect to do or what the county's going to do that may affect us. So if you wanted to fill them in on what we're doing or what we're not doing.
Yeah, did you pass that out to everyone?
Yeah, let me give you this copy so you can...
That's all right. I remember what we mostly talked about. But basically, it's not a policy yet. It is a draft. Anybody has any questions or comments to it, they're looking for more input. But what I noticed on ours, the last page of that, there is no emergency routes on our section. Basically, we're at the end of the county and we're forgotten again. I did ask them and inform them that when we do our streets, we hit 12th Street, when we hit Johnson and 15th out to 62. I asked them if they would look at putting Alliance Sebring Road as another high priority road. They'll look at it and get back to us. Basically then we just discussed a lot of different options. They don't have salt. They're looking for ways to maintain the roads for this year. They basically come down to the fact we have a conference call tomorrow with the state. Don't know where that's going to go, but what I understand is they purchased a bulk amount of salt from Indiana, and they're going to make some of it available to local counties, villages, but what I understand, it's only going to be a first come, first serve, and we're probably not going to be even getting any. So we're still looking to get through the winter. They did bring up a couple other ideas of adding what they call heat beat, which is a additive to the salt to make it work in lower temperatures and everything. But it's $1.44 a gallon. You got to order 4,500 gallons, and then you need about $10,000 worth of truck redo. So it's really not feasible. Other than that, we're just praying for a better winter. They have no answers. Their biggest question, and I'm sure everybody's, is why hasn't the state governments and Attorney General stepped in and said something about this? Why the companies are really hitting the city hard.
Well, I'm very happy that you got an extra 150 tons. That's huge.
Got that coming. I got a verbal agreement. Paperwork's all passed up, and the gentleman said he would start delivering it as soon as he can. And I'm talking to another company that will possibly be able to get me another 150, but we're working on
where to put it.
We'll put it somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a nice big building out there.
Thank you very much,
Got a nice big deep building at the water plant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Just a couple more items. Tradition has it that anytime a community completes a $1 million or more project, and we just recently completed a $2.3 million project, which was a carbon filter project, we usually have a bronze plaque made, which is a milestone improvement for the plant. I passed out a template to council members, so if there's any adjustments or if I spelled somebody's name wrong or something, please let me know before I order it. I'm very pleased to report that we received, in fact today, $249,278.66. That's the direct deposit from OPWC. That was for the engineering costs for the total phosphorus project. So that I had that also put into the 740 wastewater fund, which eliminates that $201,000 deficit that we had. So we're back on track. So I'm very happy to have that done. Last thing is I will be out of the office on 2 separate occasions in early October. I have a required state auditor training session in Athens, Ohio on October 1st. And the following week I will be attending the annual OML conference in Columbus from October 8th to the 10th. Due to the conference, there probably won't be a weekly manager report that week because I won't be here to report anything. But for that Monday and Tuesday, I will add it to the following week's report. Mr. Mayor, other than my request for a brief executive session, that concludes my report. And I try to keep it under 12 minutes.
I have a couple things.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at this white contract, and on the bill I'm seeing $650, and on your memo $550. Do you know which it is?
It should be $550, so that might be a typo in his bill because that's what we agreed to.
His bill is wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll check that, make sure it's
Oh,
the bill.
absolutely.
Okay. Also, the website that you gave me, if I put in Sebring instead of Salem, can I get it then?
You know, I noticed that earlier this week, and I told our website designer, I said, look, we're Sebring, not Salem, so please make the adjustment. Now, whether he's made that or not, I don't know. I only made the request about 2 days ago, so.
Okay, on this
Yes.
plaque,
The plaque, yes.
you might want to spell members correctly and superintendent.
Well, I would have double checked it before.
Really?
Yes.
And I thought Bill Saner's title was Deputy Service Director.
It is.
That's what I thought, so that needs to be fixed.
That's why I passed it out.
Okay. Now, the report that I asked you for and you gave me, on the very first line, are we not paying in this year? It skips to 2015 instead of 2014. Then by the time I got to the third one, and there were errors in the amounts at what I found in the financial report, I think we need to go over this. Maybe we can do it tomorrow when we have our appointment about the rules and regulations.
Are you talking about the GMAC commercial Bercadia portion?
Yes.
And the enterprise funds?
Yes. You have on due 12/1/15. And I couldn't find where it was paid.
I think that's, I'll double check that. That's either should be December 1st, 2014, or it's a typo where it's January 1st, 2015. So I'll have to check the 2014 and double check with Judy on the last time we paid that. But
And when I looked at some of them, I couldn't find them when they were semi-annually. I couldn't find where they were paid. You know, it's just not complete, the report.
All the ones that were listed for semi-annual payment are exactly the same as they were 2013 and
I should be able to
2012 before it even arrived.
When I first came on council, I had a discussion with Doug about the bill report form. I asked him to start putting the accounts from which those bills were removed. He finally did. Took 6 months maybe. And now when we get a bill report, you'll see the line.
Do you want the actual line item from which they're dispersed?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
so
no
I can
problem.
look.
Okay.
I know it's
But
no
that
problem.
you should get a copy of that when you get your monthly report from
So,
monthly expense report.
when I look at these, I can go back and I know exactly when it was paid. And it's just a spot check, but we're responsible. And we should be able to see this.
First of all, the bills will get paid. Obviously, if for some reason a bill does not get paid, trust me that the vendor will certainly remind us that they need to be paid. But they're usually dispersed mid-year and then at the beginning or the end of that particular fiscal year. So every 6 months, essentially, they should be paid, especially on the semi-annuals.
Well, you'd think I would have been able to find it, but I couldn't.
Well,
But maybe we can go over it tomorrow.
Sure. Not a problem. I've got
Okay.
3 meetings tomorrow, so let me know what time you want to do it.
Well, we already have an appointment for 10 o'clock.
You can do the 10 o'clock meeting? Okay.
Okay. Then I have one thing to ask. We have the October Fest coming up. Could we use some of the money in the state fund for Route 62 and get our sign, the landscaping cleaned up? Who's in charge of that?
Chamber of Commerce?
I think it comes out of that state fund.
No.
No? That's what I was told.
Can I make a respectful request?
Take care of that.
If there's an issue or an item or an adjustment or something that needs to be done, would it be easier to come to see me in advance in my office so that we can discuss it rather than essentially blindside me in open council with it?
Well, I have done that.
I'm sitting in that office usually anyway 8 to 10
I have
hours a
done
day.
that, and I didn't get anywhere with some things. So,
Which
yes, I
were
can
those
bring them
things?
up now.
Okay, but which things did we, I mean, every time you've ever come in, I've always been very attentive, more than happy to help you on whatever you need.
Well, for instance, the report that the mayor asked you for in April, and then I reminded you in June, and we just got it, and it's not right.
But you have to also remind, at first, we had Doug's original report format.
It was incomplete.
And correct, and then I modified that into my own format, and you indicated that you preferred the old format.
No, I I preferred a complete report.
Well, if you can give me a specifics on, and we can talk about it tomorrow, specifically what you would consider a complete report, I'm more than happy to generate a report to meet those specifications. But I need to know what they are.
Yeah.
To clarify an issue, though, with the sign.
Okay.
The sign, I'm not sure how it was paid for initially, and I don't think I want to know. But I can tell you that the state highway where that sign sits is not in corporation limits. So money that we get from the state for highway work has to be spent on the highway that's within the corporation limits, which that sign is not. So
I was told that that sign was financed by that fund.
if it was, I don't even want to get into that. It should not have been. I can tell you that right now.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why would that be? Oh.
Can I ask you who told you that? Can I ask you who told you that?
Who told me?
Yeah.
Oh, our former mayor.
You can't use state highway money on portions of the road that's not within your corporation limits when the money is given to the corporation.
And you know who else? A former councilman. I got it from two sources. Well, we need to find out about that.
I just told you. I just told you.
Okay. Well, that's conflicting information then.
Well, ask the solicitor then.
Okay.
Okay. I think if we want to do something out there as far as aesthetics, I think we just need.
We can do that. We can do it.
Get a local landscaper to come in and give us a drawing with some ideas on it.
Or just go out and weed it, clean it up.
I could have CIP kids take care of that if you like. Weed it.
Well, and there's some funding that we can take
that,
out
like
of general
CIP
street
kids
maintenance
or something
I mean,
like
that's-
Sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm just thinking.
I could utilize the CIP
to
kids to
make
do
that
the
happen.
weeding, cleaning up for some of their community service work.
Perfect.
Okay, and this is a suggestion. We're working through the manager. How's that?
Great. Great.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, real quick. Bill, I'm sorry. Is the Trojan sign backed up? Did they get it finished yet?
Not that I know, no.
Okay, I didn't notice. I come down 12th Street. I never come
It
down.
wasn't as of yesterday.
No one's contacted me that's repaired.
You haven't put it up?
No, I haven't put it up unless they put it up.
This wasn't been in all that long.
Well,
That project.
When Bill pulled it down, he said it was in pretty bad disrepair, a lot of dry rot. It needed a lot of
I hadn't
work.
heard nothing.
Okay.
I would point out to the council, so everybody is clear on this. When we received the grant for the housing rehab or housing demolition, $30,000, we had to have budgeted $15,000 in local funds to get that initially. We did that. We spent our $15,000 first. They have reimbursed us for that. So you recognize that we didn't have to use any local funds to date, and we have somewhere around, $17,000 or $18,000 that we know of in that fund yet. So we're still working with plain bank dollars. Okay? Mr. Wright.
At the last council meeting, I had asked about this vacant property registration. The clerk has so graciously pulled this, and I believe every member of council was given a copy of this ordinance we passed in November of last year. This has also been forwarded down to the solicitor's office. Could we ask her, since I know she's sitting at home bored out of her gourd, to review this and provide you with some sort of guidance as to how we implement this?
I believe that when she was here last session, we asked her to do that.
Okay.
I think it's not so much, because I read over the ordinance, I think the main issue is for her, I mean, she's going to do it the way she needs to do it, she's a solicitor, but she's going to have to interpret the language and then create a process by which we can use it administratively. And then once we have that, what the procedures are, then we can get to the point where we can implement it. So
Okay.
apparently the word's out because I've had several banks contact my office indicating, well, we heard that this ordinance is being looked at and reviewed. And I said, well, it's being reviewed by many cities, but Sebring is in the process of developing the process itself. And as soon as that's completed, we're more than happy to make that available to the banks. Because that's going to be the primary hit, it's the banks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said, you know, it's under construction. I would imagine that, you know, depending on how complicated it turns out to be and what exactly it all entails, I would assume that it might be ready by December, January. I'm not going to put a time limit on it because it's however fast the law director can construct.
I would like to see her go a little bit faster than December or January for a piece of ordinance that we've had in place for almost a year now. So I'd like to see that she handles that.
Okay, awesome. That's the word.
Okay, anything else under manager's report?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Report of other officials. I haven't done this for a long time. Either one of our department heads have any.
Make it a peace with Shangri-La, that's all we're
All right. Peace with Shangri-La. Okay, ordinances and resolutions. This is Resolution 2714.
Mayor?
Mr. Agro.
May I interrupt?
I stuttered twice.
I was waiting for tabling a couple, but I guess that's not going to happen. Anyway, I'd like to make a motion that we read resolutions 2714 through 2814 by title only, and ordinances 2914 through 3114 by title only.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Wright. Questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll. Just a minute.
If I'm in line with saying this, I think the manager wanted to have ordinance 3114 removed.
Yeah, so I was going to comment when we got to ordinance 3014, I was going to mention the fact of the amendment and to pull 3114 at that time. So just briefly on the 2714, it is of course the funding package for the crypto Spurium project.
Okay, right now the motion on the table is to read by title only.
My apologies.
Take it a step at a time.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Hydro.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 27-14, this is a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the Village of Sebring for planning, design, and/or construction of water facilities and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan. Council, having heard the resolution read by title only, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution 27-14 as read.
Second.
Motion by Wright, motion by Harp, seconded by Wright to adopt the resolution 2714 as presented. Questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Hydro.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. The resolution is adopted. This is Resolution 2814, a resolution declaring certain water and sewer bills uncollectible.
Mayor, I
Having heard the resolution read by title only, what's your pleasure?
make a motion to adopt the resolution as read.
Second.
Motion by Harp, seconded by Wright to adopt the resolution as read. Questions or comments?
Mayor, again, under questions and comments, this is to clear up her paperwork over at the water office. And again, as is stated in the committee report, they're all certified over at the county. So when those properties get sold or whatever, we should get that money back that is owed on those that are being deemed uncollectible.
It's not being forgiven, it's being taken off of our local record because of assessment, right, Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Question or comment? Clerk call the roll.
Hydro.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted as presented. This is ordinance 2914. That's amazing that it happened that way. Comes from the Finance Committee, Mr. Hart. This is ordinance authorizing and directing the municipal manager to enter into a contract with Michael Benzin Associates Incorporated of Brecksville, Ohio, for engineering services for the water treatment filter plant filter to waste health manager cryptosporidium project and declaring an emergency. Where do they come up with these words?
It's a bug. It's a water bug is basically what it is.
Okay. Council, having heard the ordinance read by title only, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, make a motion to adopt the ordinance as read with emergency clauses.
Second.
Motion by Hart, seconded by Wright, to adopt as presented with the emergency clause. Questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Eyebrow.
Aye.
Householder.
Aye.
Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance is adopted as presented. This is ordinance 30-14.
Mayor, I'd like a motion to amend.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You want to get it on the table first? Let's put it on the table first, then I can recognize your motion. Okay. This is ordinance 30-14, and this is an ordinance to approve change order number 1 at the wastewater treatment plant for the general contract capital improvements for the total phosphorus removal project addition and declaring an emergency. Council, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 30-14, and in that motion I want to add an addition that the manager has before him. If you want to explain.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. Essentially, what I'd like to do is amend the amount of ordinance 3014. Just this morning, I recently got new estimates at the last minute from our engineers regarding the change order requirements. By virtue, I'll go over those amendments just in a moment. By virtue of that, I would pull the ordinance 3114 from the record because we will not need a change order 2. I would recommend doing it all under a change order 1. Currently, the current ordinance 3014 indicates a change order for $40,965.75. I'd like for the change order number 1 to read $60,605.32 instead, and essentially the amounts that we're looking at for the change order modification are as follows. There are 7. 1, the air piping modifications, there's no cost.
Wait a minute. Let's cover, let's get an ordinance, let's get a motion on the floor. Okay. There is a motion, right, Mr. To amend?
Yes.
And the amendment is?
To add.
To change the amount.
To change the amount to $60,605.32.
That is correct.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright already seconded that.
No, I didn't second it.
Somebody seconded it.
I
did.
Mr. Igo did, I'm sorry. Okay, let's vote on the amendment. Is there any more questions or comments?
You're just voting on the amendment, right?
I'm sorry.
We're voting on the amendment to change.
You're voting on the amendment, that's correct. Okay, clerk call the roll.
Eyebrow.
Aye.
Householder.
Aye.
Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
No.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Now we need a motion. Council, you have heard the ordinance read, an amendment, and then you've heard the amendment and passed the amendment. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to pass the ordinance with the amendment.
Okay, Mr. Harp's making a motion to pass to
Second.
approve the ordinance as presented as amended. And we got a second by Mr. Flowers. Questions or comments?
Additional funding, where are we getting it from?
There we go. Now explain to us what you're doing, Mr. Manager.
There is $250,000 in contingency money, which was originally budgeted for the project. When the project was first proposed, it was originally 5%. I always increase it to an industry standard of 10%. My philosophy has always been I rather give money back that I don't spend than be short for the project. This is change order 1. This is the first change order that we've had for this project. It includes basically 2 phases. One was the additional paving at the plant above and beyond what was originally proposed. There are 2 sections of the paving. One, the originally budgeted or proposed engineered section of the paving around the plant itself. They felt that the depth was insufficient, and therefore they increased the depth, which increased the cost of the paving. The other item for the paving is there was an opportunity to extend, because there's a lot of sludge truck traffic on that road, and the quality of the road is beginning to deteriorate. So it was a perfect opportunity to pave that section from gate to gate, from the plant to the end of the service department, not actually to the road itself. And that's what the additional paving is for. And that additional section alone is about $15,000. The other phase, so that's phase 1, and that paving amendment amount comes to $41,494.56. The balance of the project includes additional controls and modifications to the plant itself in order to upgrade our warning system to prevent future flooding. As you know, we experienced some flooding last month. It was quite severe, and quite a bit of cost was incurred by repairing pumps and disinfection and so forth. These mechanisms were discussed and approved by Lee, who felt it would be invaluable to have these, and I agreed when I went to the progress meeting and talked to the engineers myself. Short version is there are several sections, and those sections which make up the balance of the request was the air piping modifications. The contractor said that there was no charge. The expansion joint modification, which was $2,392.89. There is a wasp line exploration that was $3,051.01. The relocation of a stair foundation, $873.66, and a concrete demo for the influent morass tie-ins, $48.54.11, and then also the wet well control and data command monitoring system, which was the real adjustment for $7,938.99. So Lee and I and the engineers felt that these modifications were needed, and it's well within our allotted budget. So that's why I requested. Now, I do apologize for the last-minute amendment. Normally, I like to have things discussed in advance and processed, but these engineering, they just came in this morning, and rather than wait additional 2 weeks, I was hoping the council would entertain an amendment on the floor, and I do appreciate your consideration for that.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Igo.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
No.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance passed as amended and with emergency clause. And now we have the issue of 3114.
Mayor, I make a motion to kill ordinance 3114. Second.
You, Mr. Earp, you want to withdraw?
Kill it. It's up to you. Here we go.
Brett, you want to withdraw ordinance 3114?
The politically correct version.
Can I hear a second somewhere from Mr. Igrove? Questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Igo.
Aye.
Householder. Aye. Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Citizens' comments. Second session of citizens' comments. Any questions or comments from citizens? Under any other business to come before council, you've heard the manager's recommendation of a brief executive session on personnel, I assume? Yes, sir.
So moved. Second.
You guys are going this way too quick for me tonight. Motion by Mr. Igrove, seconded by Mr. Wright. We're in the executive session. Any business to be taken care of afterwards, Mr. Manager? No, sir. No business to be taken care of afterwards. Very good. Clerk, call the roll.
Igo.
Aye.
Householder.
Aye.
Flowers.
Aye.
Weingart.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Council is in executive session with a 5-minute recess.
That's that. I ain't even. I'm leaving.